by the time this 18-minute deep dive is over, the average American will have reached for their phone at least once.
Oh, easily.
I mean, statistically, we check our screens like 80 times a day. You are quite literally losing your mind, one notification at a time.
Yeah, it's wild when you actually put a number on it.
Right. And then we wonder why tackling a massive, complex goal feels so impossible. We sort of imagine achieving something great is like this flurry of intense action, like furiously swinging an axe at a giant tree from, 100 different angles.
Just sweating and hacking away.
Exactly. Sweating, hacking away, just hoping it magically falls over.
And, well, it feels incredibly productive in the moment, doesn't it? Because you are in constant motion, you're exhausted, so you just assume you must be making progress.
Yeah, but when you step back, you haven't actually brought down the tree.
No, you've just stripped off the bark in 100 different places.
Yeah. Which brings us perfectly to today's deep dive. We have a very specific mission today, which is to help you, the listener, cut through the absolute noise of modern information overload.
Because there's just so much noise right now.
So much. We want to figure out how to stop jumping from one unfinished project to the next and finally harness the power of laser-sharp attention.
And to do that, we are pulling insights from Thibaut Maurice's book, Master Your Focus. It's a practical guide to stop chasing the next thing and focus on what matters until it's actually done.
I love that subtitle.
It's an essential manual for the modern knowledge worker, honestly. The entire premise is built on understanding why that tree and axe metaphor is how most of us operate and why it just completely fails.
Right, because hitting a massive tree in thousands of different spots won't knock it down. You start a podcast, you write half a business plan, you try a new diet for a week.
The bark is just the illusion of progress. But hitting that tree in the exact same spot repeatedly, that brings down the biggest tree in the forest. Focus acts exactly like that axe.
And right now, I think it's fair to say our axes are incredibly dull. We are endlessly bombarded by the shiny new diet, the revolutionary online course, the ultimate side hustle.
Yeah, totally.
So this deep dive isn't about telling you to just try harder. It's about a fundamental biological and psychological mindset shift regarding exactly how you deploy your mental energy.
What's really fascinating here is that the shift begins by understanding focus is not just, staring really hard at a spreadsheet. Maurice identifies 3 distinct interconnected tiers of focus. Think of them like gears in a watch.
Okay, so they all have to align perfectly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
First, you have short-term focus, which is your concentration. It's your literal ability to stay in a flow state on a given Tuesday morning without your prefrontal cortex hijacking your attention to check social media.
Which is what most people mean when they say they need to focus, right? They mean, I need to not look at Instagram for an hour.
Yeah, exactly. But it's completely useless without the second tier, which is transitional focus.
Transitional focus.
Yeah, this is your planning. These are the daily routines, the environmental design, and the scheduling that move you smoothly from one task to the next without suffering from decision fatigue.
Oh, I see.
And finally, overarching all of that is long-term focus. This is your ultimate vision. Where are you actually trying to go over the next 3 to 5 years?
Okay, let's unpack this because this really challenges how we usually operate.
Yeah.
If we're talking about focus and achieving goals, I want to push back a little on the traditional idea of productivity.
Sure, go for it.
Isn't being productive just about crossing things off a to-do list as fast as humanly possible? Like, the faster I work, the more I get done, the closer I get to the vision.
See, that is the ultimate trap for high achievers. Speed means absolutely nothing if your trajectory is misaligned.
Wait, really?
Yeah, the author details 5 distinct levels of productivity, and understanding these is crucial because most ambitious people are stuck in the middle levels without even realizing it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so level 1 is simple procrastination.
We all know that one. Avoidance of the work.
Right. But level 2 is where hustle culture gets highly toxic. That's working on the wrong things. You might be executing tasks incredibly fast, but they don't contribute to your actual vision. You are basically running a marathon in the wrong direction.
Like spending 3 weeks optimizing the color palette of a website for a business that literally doesn't have a single paying customer yet.
Precisely. You feel busy, but you aren't moving the needle. Then you hit level 3, which is even more insidious. That's working on things that simply don't improve your life.
Okay, what does that look like?
This is where you might have excellent short-term concentration, your transitional planning is totally flawless, but your long-term vision is hollow. You are flawlessly executing someone else's plan.
Oh, man.
Think of the executive climbing the corporate ladder in a highly lucrative career that they, actively despise.
Oh, that's heavy. So what are the top levels then? How do we get out of that trap?
Well, you move to level 4, which is working on the right things, but focusing on low-impact tasks. Like you're building your own business, which you love, but you spend all day clearing out your inbox instead of actually making sales calls.
Guilty.
Right. We all are. Finally, level 5 is the holy grail. Working on the most important tasks that align perfectly with the vision that genuinely improves your life. So, for you listening right now, consider your own calendar. Are you actually operating at level 5, or are you just executing level 2 and level 3 very efficiently?
That is a harsh audit to run on yourself, but it makes complete sense. I mean, short-term concentration is completely useless without long-term clarity. You can't reach level 5 if you don't actually know what you want.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it becomes clear why so many of us fail to stick with our goals when the initial excitement wears off. We don't have a compelling why.
Yeah.
Without a non-negotiable vision, the very first sign of mental friction just sends our brains scrambling for cheap dopamine.
And the text asks some incredibly provocative questions to help elicit that true desire. These aren't your standard, where do you see yourself in 5 years corporate interview questions.
No, not at all.
One of them is, if you were guaranteed to succeed, where would you want to be in 3 years? It completely removes the filter of fear.
It's a great question.
Or this one, which I think is a massive clue for where your natural leverage is. What do you find so easy to do that you genuinely wonder why others struggle?
I love that one. It's all about finding your unique leverage point, but it's also about identifying the raw fuel in your engine. Like what psychological mechanism is actually driving you to do the hard work when the dopamine of starting something new completely fades away.
Right, and the book breaks this down into 4 specific motivators, and I find this absolutely fascinating. They are love, desire, pain, and ego.
Yeah.
And I just have to admit, it is so refreshing that the author explicitly includes ego and pain as perfectly valid, highly effective fuel.
Because they are.
Usually, self-help books tell you to only focus on love, like wanting to provide for your family, or desire, like, wanting financial freedom. But sometimes love just isn't enough to get you out of bed at 4:30 in the morning to work on a spreadsheet.
It rarely is, honestly, and there's a biological and evolutionary reason for that. Let's look at pain. Pain is statistically one of the most reliable motivators in the short term because humans are biologically wired for loss aversion.
Right. We hate losing things.
Exactly. The sheer visceral terror of being stuck in a soul-crushing job for 40 years, that triggers the amygdala. It creates an immediate physiological need to escape.
And what about ego?
Well, social hierarchy is deeply embedded in our evolutionary psychology. Wanting to prove your doubters wrong, wanting to secure your status in the tribe, these are incredibly potent evolutionary drives. The book says, basically, use them.
Right. If the chip on your shoulder makes you build a successful company, use the chip. But there is a catch here, isn't there?
Yes, a very important one. Long-term focus requires your vision to be fundamentally non-negotiable and aligned with your core values. Meaning, if you deeply value autonomy and freedom, but you are spending all your ego and pain motivation trying to get a promotion at a rigid law firm that demands you are on call 24/7, your actions are at war with your values.
Oh, well, yeah.
You will inevitably sabotage your focus because subconsciously your brain knows you don't actually want the outcome.
Okay, so let's assume we have that alignment. You know your why, your values match your vision, and you aren't stuck climbing the wrong mountain. How do we transition from this big abstract vision down to the actual mechanics of a Tuesday afternoon?
That is the million-dollar question.
This brings us to a crucial distinction the author makes. Process goals versus result goals. I used to think of this like wanting to win the Super Bowl versus showing up for practice, but I think a better way to look at it is causality and control.
Absolutely. The mechanism of control is what really matters here.
Right, because a result goal is like trying to control the weather so your crops grow. You want a bountiful harvest, say, making $1 million in revenue or, losing 20 pounds. You can pray for rain, you can hope for sunshine, but you do not control the clouds.
You don't.
But a process goal is committing to watering the soil every single morning at 6 a.m., regardless of whether it looks like rain. You can only control the hose.
That is such a vital distinction because the human brain just hates uncertainty. When we focus entirely on the result goal, the harvest, and we don't see immediate growth, our brain registers that as a failure. It spikes our cortisol and makes us want to quit.
Which happens to everyone.
All the time. The author uses a great example of writing a book. Selling 50,000 copies is a result goal. You cannot force people to buy it, but writing 550 words every single day, that is a process goal.
It's totally in your hands.
It is 100% within your locus of control. Focusing on the process radically reduces the overwhelming anxiety of the result.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Because to maintain that daily process, you need an ironclad structure. The book introduces the concept of the domino habit.
Yes, the domino habit.
What is the single behavior that, if you do it, reduces the friction for all the other good behaviors, so they just naturally fall into place. The author shares his personal domino, and it's shockingly simple. Just going to bed early.
Sounds easy enough, right?
Yeah, wait, I have to push back here. Going to bed early sounds great in theory, but it isn't the silver bullet. If I'm stressed out, lying in bed at 9 p.m. staring at the ceiling because I have massive anxiety about my to-do list, going to bed early just gives me more time to panic. How does the book actually address that friction?
It's a really fair challenge because if you just lay down and panic, you aren't actually executing the habit. The domino habit of going to bed early implies actually utilizing proper sleep hygiene to achieve biological rest.
Okay, so it's a bit deeper than just getting under the covers.
Yeah, when you consistently lower your core temperature, step away from blue light, and give your brain the time to lower its cortisol levels before sleep, you wake up fundamentally different. Trace the causality here. Restorative sleep guarantees he wakes up early.
Right.
Waking up early allows him to tackle his most demanding cognitive process goals, writing those 500 words before the rest of the world wakes up and the emails start flooding in. He wins the day before noon. That one domino knocks over the rest of the day's friction.
But to even have the time to clear the table for those dominoes, you have to get ruthless about what you allow into your life. You have to, audit the noise.
Which introduces one of the most challenging exercises in the book, zero-based thinking. We all suffer from the sunk cost fallacy. We stay on a volunteer board because we've been on it for 2 years.
Right, or we keep working on a dead-end project because we've already invested 3 months into it.
Exactly. Zero-based thinking forces you to look at your calendar, look at every commitment, and ask, knowing what I know now, if I were presented with this opportunity today, would I still agree to start it?
That shifts the entire perspective. You aren't asking, should I quit? Because quitting feels like a failure. You are asking, would I opt in again today?
Exactly. It removes the emotional weight of the sunk cost. If the answer is no, you must ruthlessly eliminate it. And moving forward, your default answer to any new request has to become no.
Just a hard no.
Time and cognitive bandwidth are not free commodities. Protecting your focus means you have to start forcing people to respect your flow state rather than letting them interrupt you with a quick Slack message or a, got a second meeting.
It's about building an absolute fortress around your attention. But let's be real, sometimes the enemy is already inside the fortress. We need to talk about shiny objects soon.
Oh, this is a big one.
Growing up, the common wisdom was always, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Diversify. So, objectively, doesn't it make sense to try 5 different business ideas or test out 3 different workout programs at the exact same time just to see what actually gets results?
No, that is the ultimate trap of hedging your bets, and the text firmly pushes back on this idea. Hedging your bets in pursuit of a singular, massive goal is basically a recipe for guaranteed mediocrity.
Really?
Let's look at the cognitive mechanism here. Jumping constantly between writing a blog, launching a YouTube channel, and trying to source physical products creates immense mental friction.
How so? Mathematically, why is that worse than doing one thing?
Because of a neurological phenomenon known as attention residue. When you switch from working on your YouTube channel to checking your email, your brain doesn't instantly load the new task. A significant part of your cognitive processor stays stuck on the previous task.
Wait, so you're not fully present?
Not at all. You are literally operating with a temporarily lowered IQ and diminished executive function for the next 20 minutes. Every time you switch context, you burn precious cognitive energy just trying to reorient yourself.
Which perfectly explains that incredible anecdote in the sources about Warren Buffett and Bill Gates. 2 of the most successful, wealthy men in modern history are at a dinner party, and they're both asked by the host to name the single most important factor in their phenomenal success.
And what did they say?
Completely independently, they both give the exact same one-word answer: focus.
Notice they didn't say diversification, they said focus. Because when you hedge your bets and spread your energy across 5 projects, you never apply enough pressure to any single area to push through the friction and create a breakthrough. You just stay in the shallows.
That makes total sense.
And this is the cycle of distraction that shiny object syndrome feeds on. You start a new project and you get a massive hit of dopamine, the brain's novelty neurotransmitter. You have the vision, you have the initial excitement, but inevitably the work gets hard, the results don't immediately appear, and the dopamine just drops.
And right at that exact moment of friction, when you are most vulnerable, a new magic pill appears in your algorithm, a new marketing tactic, a new crypto coin. And because you feel stuck and frustrated, you jump ship.
And boom, you get a fresh hit of dopamine from the new project. It's literally an addiction to beginnings. But what you have to realize is that the constant variable in every single one of those abandoned projects and failed attempts is you.
Ouch.
The diet didn't fail. Your commitment to the process failed when the novelty wore off.
The truth hurts.
Yeah.
But it also leads directly to the flip side of that coin, which is procrastination. We usually excuse our procrastination by telling ourselves a very convincing lie. We say we are just too tired today, or we are burnt out. But the book references Navy SEAL David Goggins and his famous 40% rule. The concept is that when your brain is screaming that you are completely, totally exhausted and cannot take another step or write another word, you are actually only at 40% of your true physical and mental capacity.
And there is a very real physiological reason for this. The human brain consumes roughly 20% of our daily calories, despite being just a fraction of our body weight. It is an energy hog.
It's just trying to survive.
Exactly.
Oh.
From an evolutionary standpoint, the brain is designed to aggressively conserve energy to keep you alive. When a task requires intense cognitive load, your brain tries to shut you down long before you are actually depleted. That is the biological mechanism of procrastination. Your brain prefers what is easy because easy burns fewer calories.
So the exhaustion isn't real. It's just a protective mechanism. And another brilliant disguise that your brain uses to avoid that discomfort, especially for high achievers, is perfectionism.
This raises an important question. Whose standard of perfection are you holding yourself to? Perfectionism is rarely about high standards. The author presents this incredibly liberating truth for anyone paralyzed by it. Whatever you are producing right now is exactly as good as it is supposed to be.
I love that concept, but explain the mechanics of it. Why is it exactly as good as it's supposed to be?
Because perfectionism is almost always a psychological defense mechanism against the pain of being a beginner. We look at someone who has been hosting a top-tier show for 10 years, and we expect our very first recording to sound exactly like theirs.
Which is impossible.
It is a mathematical impossibility. Your output matches your current level of experience. You have to allow yourself to be bad at something to build the neurological pathways and the experience necessary to be good at it. Delaying a launch because it isn't perfect doesn't improve the product. It just prevents the acquisition of experience.
You are protecting your ego at the cost of your progress. So we push through the procrastination, we understand the biology of our fatigue, we ignore the shiny objects, and we drop the perfectionism defense. This brings us to the ultimate goal of the text, which is the mastery mindset.
The mastery mindset, yes.
We live in an age where not all information is equal. We actually have a hierarchy of information. Endlessly scrolling through random, disjointed YouTube tutorials actually scatters your focus. It gives you the illusion of learning.
Exactly.
But investing in structured, high-quality learning, like a dedicated curriculum, a book, or direct coaching, that organizes the information for you. It saves your cognitive energy and buys back your time.
True mastery understands that learning isn't just acquiring new data to store in your head. It is about relentless, almost obsessive repetition of the fundamentals until they become automatic.
Like muscle memory.
Yeah, think about Michael Phelps. The man swam every single day for 2,100 days in a row. He didn't miss a single day between the ages of 12 and 18. He wasn't learning secret new swimming techniques every day. He was mastering the fundamentals.
Or look at Tiger Woods. At the absolute height of his career, when he was already the most dominant golfer on the planet and winning majors by record margins, he willingly tore down and completely rebuilt his swing.
That's crazy.
He sacrificed short-term winning to go back to the absolute basics so he could master a more sustainable swing.
Because masters never assume they have outgrown the basics. The fundamentals are the advanced tactics.
So what does this all mean for us? the everyday people just trying to get our projects across the finish line. It means we have to completely eradicate the 4 most dangerous words in the English language from our vocabulary. According to the text, those words are, I already know that.
Those words are the ultimate ego trap. They shut down curiosity instantly.
Exactly. Because if you know you should eat healthy, and you know you need 8 hours of sleep, and you know you need to prioritize your most difficult task first thing in the morning.
We weren't doing it.
Right. If your actual real-world results show that you are out of shape, chronically exhausted, and constantly procrastinating, then you don't actually know it. Intellectual knowledge is completely useless without physical embodiment. You don't know it until you live it.
That is the absolute essence of mastery. It isn't about finding a secret revolutionary tactic that no one else has discovered. It is about doing the boring, fundamental things with a level of consistency that most people simply cannot tolerate.
So to recap this incredible deep dive, to truly master your focus and bring down that giant tree, you have to start hacking at the bark. You start by defining a long-term vision that is viscerally tied to your deepest values, whether driven by love, desire, pain, or ego.
Yeah, you have to ruthlessly break that vision down into controllable process goals, focusing on watering the soil, not controlling the weather.
You have to actively build walls to keep out shiny object syndrome, understand the biological lies your brain tells you about fatigue, and embrace the boring, repetitive fundamentals until they become second nature.
It's a complete rewiring of how you interact with friction. And if you are listening to this right now and wondering how to prove to yourself that you can actually focus, the book offers a very specific challenge.
So lay it on us.
I challenge you to implement the 7-day digital detox. Specifically, start by keeping all digital devices completely out of your morning routine. Wake up, and before you let the world into your brain, before you look at a single screen or check a single notification, execute your most important process goal for the day, reclaim your mornings, and you reclaim your focus.
That one small habit could be the exact domino that changes the trajectory of your entire year. But I want to leave you with one final provocative thought to mull over today. We spent this entire deep dive talking about breaking down new goals, building new habits, and pushing forward.
Right.
But what if the single greatest action you could take tomorrow isn't starting something new at all? Think about cognitive bandwidth. Every unfinished task in your life acts like a background app draining your phone's battery.
That's a great way to put it.
What if your biggest roadblock is finally closing a lingering open loop from your past? Think about it. What piece of unfinished business, what abandoned project gathering dust, or what unresolved conversation is secretly draining your mental bandwidth right now? And what would happen if you woke up tomorrow and just decided to let it go entirely? Imagine the sheer amount of energy you would have left for the tree you actually want to chop down. Until next time.